On this day in history, February 6th, 1819, the Treaty of Singapore was signed by Sir Thomas Stamford Raffles, Hussein Shah of Johor, and Temenggong Abdul Rahman, and it is now recognized as the founding of modern Singapore. Included in the following is an excerpt from the 1944 edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica, going over the history of the island nation. Singapore, a town and island situated at the southern extremity of the Malay Peninsula in 1 degree 20 minutes north, 103 degrees 50 minutes east. Singapore was the most important part of the crown colony of the Straits settlements, which consisted with it of Penang, including Province Wellesley, and Malacca. The Dindings, retroceded to the Sultan of Perak in 1935, were formerly included with Penang. Singapore, midway between India and China, forms the most important halting place on the trade route to the Far East. It was strongly fortified as a naval base at the cost of the imperial government, aided by an annual military contribution payable by the colony and fixed at 20% of its gross revenue. Its geographical position gave it strategic value, and as a commercial center, it has been without a rival in this part of Asia. Its prosperity was greatly enhanced by the rapid development of the Malay states on the mainland. It possesses a good harbor, with docks and extensive coaling wharves, which were acquired by a government from Tanjong Pagar Dock Company. It has also been resorted to by native craft from all parts of the Malay archipelago. On the island of Pulau Brani stood the largest tin smelting works in existence, which for many years had annually passed through their furnaces more than half the total tin output of the world. Singapore has also establishments for tinning pineapples, a tannery, a shoe factory, and a biscuit factory. Notable are a few large commercial buildings, Government House, the Law Courts, a magnificent hospital, a lunatic asylum, Raffles College, Raffles Museum, and the Cathedral of St. Andrew. Until 1942, there were several Roman Catholic churches, a Free Kirk, an American mission, and chapels belonging to nonconformist sects. The mosques and Chinese and Hindu temples are numerous. There are military barracks at Tanglin. There is a good race course and polo ground, a fine cricket ground on the Esplanade, 4 golf courses, and yachting, swimming, and social clubs. The island is 27 miles long by 14 miles broad, and was joined to the state of Johor on the mainland by a causeway, destroyed by the British in 1942. A railway runs from the town of Singapore through Johor Bahru up to Penang and on to Bangkok. The strait which divides the island from the Dutch islands of Bintang, Rio, etc., bears the name of the Singapore Strait. The surface of the island is undulating and diversified by low hills, the highest point being Bukit Timah on the northwest of the town, which is a little over 500 feet. Geologically, the core of the island consists of crystalline rocks, but in the west there are shale and sandstone. All around the island, the valleys are filled with alluvial deposits on a more extensive scale than could have been formed by the existing rivers. They suggest that the island was once united to Johor. The southwest shores are fringed with coral reefs, and living coral fields are found in many parts of the straits. Composed largely of red clay and laterite, the soil is not rich. The forest is of a mean type. The humid climate causes the foliage here, as in many parts of Malay, to be luxuriant, and the contrast presented by the bright green and the rich red laterite of the cliffs is striking. When first occupied by Sir Stamford Raffles, on behalf of the East India Company, the island was covered by jungle, but most of the island not reserved by government was subsequently taken up principally by Chinese, who planted rubber, vegetables, and other products. There are fine botanical gardens at Tanglin. The climate of Singapore is humid and hot. There is hardly any seasonal change, and the dampness causes the heat to be more oppressive than are higher temperatures in drier climates. The mean temperature in Singapore is approximately 80 degrees Fahrenheit. North and northeast winds prevail from the middle of October to the end of April, and south and southwest winds from the middle of May to the end of September. The rainfall has been recorded regularly since 1862. The wettest year was 1913, with 3,442.37 millimeters, and the driest, 1877, with 1,482.7 millimeters. The average number of rainy days has been 173. Statistics of population are given in the article Straits Settlements. Singapore, with its hordes of immigrants, naturally has had the lowest proportion of females, but it rapidly made up leeway. There are representatives of almost every Asiatic nation and of many other races, Singapore being one of the most cosmopolitan cities in the world. Population of the city and the island, from 1941, 760,226. As Singapore was the chief administrative center of the colony, the governor had his principal residence here. Here also were chief offices of the various heads of the government departments, and here the legislative council of the colony held its sessions. The trade of Singapore has been chiefly dependent upon the position which the port occupied as the principal emporium of the Federated Malay States and of the Malay Archipelago, and as the great port of call for ships passing to and from the Far East. The total net tonnage of merchant vessels entering and clearing from Malayan waters from January to September 1939 was 26,095,401, of which about one-third were British. The retail trade of the place has been largely in the hands of Chinese, Indian, and Arab traders, but there were good European shops. The port was a free port, import duties being payable only on opium, tobacco, wines, and spirits. It is possible that Singapore was a trading center in the 12th and 13th centuries, but neither Marco Polo nor Ibn Battuta, both of whom wintered in Sumatra on their way back to Europe from China, have left anything on record confirmatory of this. By the middle of the 14th century, it was destroyed by Majapahit. In 1552, St. Xavier dispatched letters from the port to Goa. When it passed by treaty to the East India Company in 1819, Sir Stamford Raffles persuading the Sultan and Temenggong of Johor to cede it to him, it was uninhabited save for fisher folk. It was at first subordinate to Bencoolen, the company's principal station in Sumatra, but in 1823 it was placed under the administration of Bengal. It was incorporated in the colony of the Straits Settlements when the colony was established in 1826. Singapore was captured by the Japanese February 15, 1942, and was renamed by them Shonan, Light of the South.